Okay, this video covers trying to fix an oil leak on my W58 transmission. I'm going to narrate this since the original video went a little bit long. So you can see here I'm in the process of comparing the different sealers that I may use on that housing there for the gear shift lever. And on the left we have Toyota's form-in-place gasket, and then we have the Ultra Black, and then we have the new product called the Optimum Black. And I'm just using this paper plate method to compare kind of how much adhesion there is and how well it sticks to the housing up there. And then here you can see what I've done. I've taken the housing off the transmission and I've used a cutting bit to route a little. I'm using this little carbide cutter here, and I've used it to route a little area where I'm going to put sealer in. Originally I was using an etcher, and then I just used this carbide bit and spun up to about 1,300 RPMs in the drill press. And I just very carefully dragged the shift housing, that aluminum piece right there, along and cut that channel so that I could put some of the sealer. I'm going to use the Optimum Black there ultimately and put a little bit in that channel. And so my hope is that by doing that and cutting down that little oil baffle you see over there on the left so that it doesn't sandwich in, I can kind of affect a better seal. And then I noticed also in checking for leaks on my gearbox that, see those little pins that I'm showing, they had oil weeping out of those. So I just put some Optimum Black over that to seal it up. May not be the best approach, but I think it's probably going to work for now. I'm not sure if my pins right there were loose or what, but it worked overall. If I had to do over again, I'd probably just put JB Weld on there and secure them more. So this is showing where that plate goes. If you've never looked at the transmission, I have a W58 out of a 91 Toyota Supra, and this is the shift lever mechanism. I'll grab a flashlight here in a second, and you can kind of see down in there. You can see the speedometer pinion gear, and you can see the shift limiter pins on the left and the right. And then that hole you see right there is where the shift lever bushing at the bottom intersects, and that allows you to operate that lever, which operates the forks inside the transmission and allows you to shift gears. So there's 6 little bolts up on top, and it leaks because, as you'll see kind of here on the underneath my truck here, there's an area where that shifter plate bolts down, and it sandwiches this crazy rubber baffle that has 6 standoff washers on it. And so I was getting leaking up under here at that little top seam, kind of right there on that flange area up on top, and it was weeping down around the transmission. So I was trying to figure out some way to kind of get a better seal back there. So I thought I would try just omitting the oil baffle altogether, and I ended up trimming it down so it still seats down in there when you put that little top plate on. And so this just kind of shows the area I was, messing around with and from underneath the truck. So once I cut that little, kind of little channel, then I had to put gasket sealer on here. So here you are. Here you can see I've run a little bead of the Optimum Black, which is in fact more durable and flexible than the RTV Ultra Black that I normally use. So I put it in that little channel, and I'm getting ready to install this. The bead was a little high, and I didn't want it to squeeze all to the inside. So you can see in a minute here, I use my finger to kind of, right here, I brush it along out to the outer surfaces to kind of get it more on that flange lip area. So that seemed to work pretty well. You'll see here in a minute when I put it on and torque it down, it kind of squeezes out, each side there, but not too bad. So I think most of it stayed in that little channel I cut. So here you can see I've got things back together. I just dropped the upper plate in at an angle through the top and sat it down in there and then bolted it on. And the fact that it's 100,000ths of an inch lower because the oil baffle gasket isn't there anymore didn't seem to pose any problems. The shift lever throw seemed to be a little bit longer. Here you can see kind of how it squeezed out around, so it kind of served to seal everything, I think, pretty well. So I've driven the truck maybe 40 miles since doing this job, and I don't see any signs of oil leaking. I'll follow up in the comments if I have any further problems, or after I've driven a few hundred miles to see if there's any further leaking back here in the transmission area. But from what I've seen so far, it seems to be a success as far as getting that oil, and I'm showing here the oil was dripping down around to the third member there. So, but this modification seems to have worked real well. So for anyone who's having this kind of oil seeping out of the baffle issue with their W58 transmission, I just wanted to show kind of how I addressed it, and maybe it'll give you some ideas on what to do. So transmission works fine, shifting works fine. The throw is just a hair longer, but not too bad. So I'm going to call it a success. All right, thanks very much for watching.